Welcome to Mainland, your local regional television station. I'm Tanya Omar, and some of the stories coming up in today's news: smoky fires and health hazards, Kiwi ear to fold, school faces chop again, and more. Nelson MP Dr Nick Smith has said this week he is saddened but not surprised by the Minister of Education's decision to initiate consultation on the potential closure of Salisbury School, announced by the Ministry last Friday. He has acknowledged the school has helped hundreds of young women over the past century, and the school has a long history with the local Richmond community. However, based on figures released on Friday by the Ministry, he said the school cannot go on its current form, saying, "You cannot justify $2 million a year, 42 full-time and part-time staff, and the use of a prime 8-hectare site for 9 pupils." The situation next year becomes even more untenable, with 7 of the 9 pupils completing their program under the usual practice for residential schooling. Dr Smith put the decline in Salisbury's role to unsustainable levels because most families are choosing intensive localised support, saying times have changed with a shift away from institutionalised residential care to providing more support in the normal home and school environment. In a response to the news from the Ministry of their intentions on Friday, Salisbury's Girls' School has said that the Ministry of Education is unbelievably short-sighted and poorly advised. Board of Trustees Chair John Kane has said that the Minister of Education has wanted Salisbury School closed since 2012, so the news from Hekia Parata's office is not surprising. However, it is nonetheless devastating and unbelievably short-sighted. He said with the Ministry's intensive wraparound service, IWS, in control of and the managing down of the school's enrolment since 2012, the school's role has dropped from averaging 80 students in the years leading up to 2012 to just 9 this year, showing the sinking lid effect of the IWS. He said that despite the school's efforts to work positively with the Ministry and provide solutions, they have been unable to do anything about their enrolments or enrolment process, which has been altered so that all enrolments are channelled through the IWS. He said the financial implications that the Minister has raised are misleading, and it is entirely due to the Ministry's artificial constraint on enrolments that the per-pupil cost has risen. With the sensible enrolment process, which Salisbury proposed to the Ministry, the cost per student could be hugely reduced to a fraction of the figure the Minister has cited. Meanwhile, young people with autism and complex intellectual disabilities are falling through the special education holes as they are not even getting into the IWS. To meet this challenge and help with this problem, Salisbury School developed a proposal last year to become a specialist facility for young people on the autistic spectrum and with intellectual disabilities, as this group of young New Zealanders are seldom getting into the IWS. John Kane said the proposal was thoroughly researched and given to the Secretary of Education and his staff in 2015. After much delay, the Ministry incorporated it into an advisory paper for the Minister in March this year. The Ministry's advice essentially told her to ignore the Salisbury proposal and the failings of the IWS it pointed to, and asked Minister Parata to initiate consultation for Salisbury's closure, which she has done. Despite assurances to keep the school open after the school's successful High Court case in 2012, the Minister has allowed her ministry to initiate a sinking lid process regarding enrolments at the school, citing that parents enrolling for the intensive wraparound service, IWS, aren't choosing Salisbury, he says. This is simply not true. Parents tell us they were not even offered Salisbury when applying for the IWS, and they had to go to extreme lengths to be allowed to choose Salisbury. Less than a year after taking off, regional airline company Kiwi Air is to fold. The company was launched in October last year by Chief Executive Ewan Wilson, who was founder of the failed Kiwi International Airlines business back in 1994. Kiwi Air has been operating a Saab 340 aircraft for its regional flights and announced on 7th of March that they were fundraising for a second aircraft due to an increase in demand. Only 2 months ago, the airline added a Nelson to Christchurch route, plus more Nelson destination flights, so this latest announcement might come as a surprise to some. Currently, flights from Nelson to Hamilton, Tauranga and Dunedin will continue until July 30th, with those booked on Kiwi regional flights after that date to be offered alternative flights or refunds. Meanwhile, Origin Air, based in Nelson, has been grounded since February due to having no operating certificate. However, they are still taking bookings and told Mainland News they expect to be back flying from July 15th. Smoky chimneys are a curse of winter, but one that many of us are prepared to forgive to a point. Keeping a home warm is also part of keeping those living in it healthy. However, some of the problems we face when we light a fire are not overtly apparent when it comes down to the way we burn or what we burn in our homes for warmth. Chrissy Small spoke to Nelson City Council's Environmental Programs Advisor, Richard Frizzell, about some of the issues of using these wood burners, especially in many areas around the city.
So first off, let's start with smoky fires. If I have a neighbour who has a smoky fire and I'm getting concerned because my washing's always smelling like smoke, what can I do if I can't confront the neighbour? What's a better way to deal with it?
Sure, okay, Chrissy. So the first thing really that people need to be aware is they can call into the council. So I'll just give you the number 5460 and just offer that information. We do have people who are a bit concerned about the confidentiality about that, but the information is definitely confidential. We do need to know details of the address to go and check, and our enforcement officers will go around without providing any information where they got the information from. Right. They'll just say, look, we're aware that there's an issue here around the operation of your burner. Too much smoke has been seen coming from your flue, and then they provide some helpful tips about things that people can do, because the other message I really want to stress is people aren't often aware, people who have got wood burners aren't aware of the smoke that's coming out of their flues. Neighbours and people in the area might see it, but they might think, oh, they're inside getting nice warm by their fire, and just completely unaware of the impact on others around them. So the main message really is just to create a bit of awareness, and then once they are aware, if it is an issue, talk through the tips and things that they can do to help improve the operation and produce less smoke from their burner.
Sure. Okay, so how are some of the ways of reducing smoke from a burner?
Okay. First off, the critical thing is to get good dry wood. We've got a number of, the council has a good wood supplier scheme, so that's people who are buying wood. We recommend that they approach our good wood suppliers to get it, and nice and early too. So we're talking about before Christmas effectively for the following winter. So dry is less than 25% moisture, and of course a lot of people wouldn't know that, but we do have, this is a moisture meter. So anyone who's not sure about the moisture content of their wood, they can contact the council, bring their a sample of their wood in, or we're quite happy to go and out to check the moisture content. All our good wood suppliers have got moisture meters just to prove that it is less than 25%. So getting good wood initially, and then of course storing it so that it stays dry. So it doesn't have to cover it completely, but the top and the sides, you can keep one side free for ventilation, so it is out. So by the time it comes to use it, it's definitely less than that 25% moisture level. And another tip too is just general good maintenance of the burner, so getting the flue cleaned before winter is always a good idea, depending on how much it's being used, but generally we recommend that flues get cleaned at least annually.
Yeah, and it's nobody wants a chimney fire, do they?
No, absolutely. So yeah, especially if you're using quite moisture, quite wet wood, it can build up with creosote. And the other tips really are about how to start and operate the burner so that essentially they don't get overloaded. What we're wanting people to do is just to have a good bright fire. Don't damp down the fire. People think, oh, it's good just to sort of bank it up with lots of wood at the end of the evening and then damp it down so it's warm in the morning. What that does, it just smoulders away, burns very inefficiently, and a lot of smoke is essentially unburnt fuel. So it's a waste of money when you think of but if people are buying their wood, they bank it up with a lot of wood at night, and essentially it doesn't create any more warmth, but the smoke going out the flue is wasted money, whereas it's better just to put a lot of wood on to get it nice and hot, and then just put it a little bit on just to maintain the heat.
Yeah.
Some people also, they overheat their house, and maybe they don't need to do that, so it's a matter of just maintaining the operation, their burner properly.
Right. Now we get to our fuels for fires. We see a lot of building going on. There's more and more building, and there's always builders who want to get rid of their wood, so they offer it free to people. What problems can that mean for burners and for the environment?
Okay, so it's a really good point, Chrissy, because several years ago we have picked up on high levels of arsenic through our air monitoring, and of course arsenic is really toxic, and the only source of arsenic really is burning treated wood, and a big source of that is people, they see containers of treated wood being offered for free, they're not aware that it is treated, so they think, oh, it's a good opportunity, grab some wood, but when it is burned it does create things like arsenic, and arsenic would be the main thing that we'd be concerned about. So I've got some samples here of things, any treated, this is plywood, painted and treated wood should definitely not be burnt, and here's some MDF as well. So anything that looks a wee bit like that, as opposed to a natural log. So this is a good bit of wood here. It's nice and dry. You see, it's got a bit of bark on it still. So that is perfect for burning. But anything that looks treated in any way, I should recommend do not touch it or use it for burning.
In plywoods like this and MDFs, we've got all kinds of compound glues, haven't we?
That's right.
And of course, the toxic chemicals come out of those.
Yes.
Now, when we see a piece of wood like this, we see kiln-dried firewood for sale, and we know, some of it's straight from the mill, so it is dry in timber, and it's great, people buy it, and most of it is okay because it's untreated. What about the untreated stuff? I mean, I'd look at that and I'd barely know that was actually not a good piece of wood to burn, but that's full of arsenic. Yes,
you can see, one thing to look out for, you can maybe see it here, is any discoloration. So that's got a bit of a greenish tinge to it. So anything that has got a colour apart from a natural colour on it is an indication that it is treated. We do have a product of the council that we can actually test wood for whether it's been treated or not, especially with copper chrome arsenic, which produces arsenic when burnt. So if in doubt, then just contact the council and we can just check it out. Also, you could just ask whoever is providing it, is this treated or not? Some pallets, for example, are untreated pine, so that's okay, but anything that is treated, and you can get treated pallets as well, definitely shouldn't be burnt. So it's just a matter of checking, and if in doubt, then don't touch it. Certainly don't use it for burning.
For more on how to prevent smoky fires, go to our Mainland Television News Nelson Facebook page and see the whole interview with Richard. Last week, a British Labour MP who had previously worked for New Zealand Labour MP Phil Twyford in Oxfam was viciously slain in the street as she met with constituents last week. Jo Cox was only 41 years old, and she leaves behind a grieving husband and 2 young children. The perpetrator had opposing ideas to Ms Cox, and with local body elections coming up in our region later this year, we asked Nelson Mayor Rachel Reese if this kind of report will hinder those standing for council to meet constituents on the street. I actually was wondering what this kind of effect has news on you or city councillors, because we want to see you on the streets. We want to hear from you. What does something like this, how does it affect you?
Look, I think it's just an absolute tragedy too. I read the story about Jo and this morning, and it just breaks your heart. Here's somebody who's been committed to serving her community in the UK, out there doing everything that politicians should be doing, which is meeting with constituents, listening to concerns, trying to help people work through the processes of government. And I can certainly say that I find it a really important part of my role to be out and about with the public, and I'll continue to do that. I think one thing I would say to the public is be critical of and ask critical questions. But remember, these are human beings that you're talking to, and debate the issues. Be tough on the problem. Be kind to the person, and remember that people stand for local government because they care about their community. They want to make a difference, and we're out there talking to people because that's what we want to do. So I do encourage people to stand for election. I think this is a tragic event that's happened in the UK, but it'll never be the norm in New Zealand. We can't let that be the norm here, and we've got to continue to serve our community, to go out there and believe in the best in our communities. So please, people, I encourage you, please stand for local government, put your names forward. It's a wonderful opportunity to give back to your community and make a difference.
If you are considering running for council, Tasman District Council is running information sessions for prospective candidates. Find out about the roles of Mayor, Councillor and Community Board Member, nominations and campaigning. Tuesday the 28th of June in Tākaka at the Bowling Club, Wednesday the 29th of June in Motueka Service Centre, Hickmont Place, Motueka, and Thursday the 30th of June in the Tasman District Council Chamber on Queen Street, Richmond. All sessions start at 5:30. Nelson is well known to go dead quiet for businesses over the winter months. The question is, does Nelson sit back and accept this as the status quo, or can we buck this trend? There's a group who believes we can have a thriving, vibrant business hub year-round, and as part of their mission to drive innovation and entrepreneurship in Nelson, Innovate Nelson run an intense 54 hours over a weekend for locals to just go for it and start up their business idea. We spoke with a representative from the Startup Weekend, Silke Larson. What is a startup?
That's a really good question. There's a lot of discussions about what a startup is, but basically in this, what is relevant here is actually just to start up a business. To go from a crazy idea until something where you have customers and you have a business model and you have a team, you really have a business.
Okay, so why run these weekends?
I think for our region there is a huge potential for more businesses, and I actually think that there's a lot of talent around, really a lot of talent. I think many people have this idea that it's really daunting to start a business. And you know, going through this weekend, they will learn that you can have fun and it can be enjoyable, and they will learn huge amount from it. And hopefully after that they will be able to start their own business, and they might even find people, you know, other people that want to start a business together with them. Often it's really good to be a team when you start a business.
Well, you've been going for just over a year, the Startup Weekends in Nelson. Has there been any success coming out from the weekends?
Yes, on at least two levels there are successes. One of them is that actually the business that won last Startup Weekend in June last year are keen to work. They are, you know, they're close to launching. So that is actually like a real business. It's not necessarily the goal of a Startup Weekend to actually end up with, you know, a functional business. It's more like the learning. But this, yeah, Keen to Work came out of it, and they are, you know, launching. Another thing that has come out of it is the, you know, networking. People get to know each other, supporting, helping each other, which, yeah, was pretty cool.
Okay, so people invest their money over the weekend and get into this intense time of learning how to start up a business. I just want to read a quote from the website from someone who did it last time. You come out of Startup Weekend on a massive high, and that gives you legs for hours of work for months. It gives you fire. That's by Andy Clover. Is there substance to the fire? Does it last? Are these people that are going in here, they've got excited out of the weekend, and then it's just a thing they tried last year? Or is there momentum from this?
there is a momentum. And unfortunately, I was not at the last startup weekend, but just the fire that has been from the people that have been, has ignited me to go. And you could have, we tried to find a lot of people that have been there, and all of them are just like, oh, it was great, it was awesome, and yeah. And Andy Clover is actually one of those that are behind Keen to Work, so definitely the fire for him has been going on.
Yeah. Okay, so if I think I've got a crazy idea, and it's too embarrassing to bring in front of other people, what would you say to me?
Don't be embarrassed. Go for it anyway. Sometimes it's the craziest idea that will actually, take flight. Or try and discuss it. Go to Matt PC at Innovate Nelson. He's always open, and he will have a really good idea of whether that would be an idea that can actually take off or not, and how you can go about it.
Okay, who's Innovate Nelson?
Innovate Nelson is fairly new. I think they're 1.5 years old. They're supported by EDA and Nelson City Council, and I also think Tasman District Council. They are based at an MIT, and their whole, purpose is to, inspire innovation and entrepreneur spirit in the region. And they are in a very open space in Building G at MIT, and you can just pop in and talk with them. There's one thing it might be important to know that when you don't need an idea to participate in Startup Weekend. You can just, want to start a business and learn about that, and then, gonna team with somebody else who has a great idea that you like. Mm-hmm.
I saw that Google is a sponsor of these weekends. Mm-hmm. So what if I'm wanting to do fancy donuts or something as a business, or do I need to have more technology-based business ideas to come?
As I've understood, there is unfortunately a tendency to take businesses on the criteria for for how they find the winner, but that doesn't mean that you can't come with a donut or a cookie or whatever kind of business, because what you'll learn about is what is called a business canvas, which is basically an A4 where you are able to see the get an overview of who's your customer. What are their problems? What is their solution? What are the alternatives? What are your benefits? How are you earning money from it, and how much will it cost to start? So all that on an A4. That's a business canvas, and that one you can use for all types of businesses and all types of projects. So that you will learn during the startup weekend, and then you can use it for any kind of business.
And finally, if my 13-year-old son or daughter has a great idea, what would you think about a teenager coming along?
You will have to ask that to Matt PC. I think, as I understand, it's really intense. People sleep very little, so it might be too intense for a young teenager. But ask Matt. I personally, I have an 11-year-old, and when he saw the video for the startup weekend, he was just like, I want to do that, Mom, I want to do that. So I would love to see us doing something for the teenagers. I think it would be great.
After the break, we'll bring you the latest weather update and some events and happenings coming up from around the region.
Why would you want to pay as much as $1,000 for a single bed mattress when you can buy a high quality locally made mattress like this for as little as $220? And a queen size mattress could cost you in excess of $3,000, but at Nelson Beds you could have a mattress like this as low as $425. So why would you go out and spend a fortune on your child's bedroom when you can come to Nelson Beds and buy a complete single mattress and base set, a 7-drawer Scotch chest, a headboard and a 3-drawer bedside cabinet for as little as $979? So call and discuss our custom manufacturing options and local after sales service at Nelson Beds, Nelson's only bedding manufacturer.
Hi there, Julian Toon, Waimea Telecommunications. We install and maintain domestic and commercial satellite TV, UHF Freeview and Mainland TV installations in the Nelson, Tasman regions. We specialise in Panasonic telephone systems and provide communications, Wi-Fi, IT and wiring for internet, fibre, computers and DSL systems. At Waimea Telecommunications, we also provide specialist electronic systems for features such as a security camera you can watch on your TV, visitor alert systems and much more. Improve your security and communication and entertainment today. Call us on Waimea Telecommunications on 021 472297, ytel.co.nz.
We're the team at JCar, right here in Nelson, 120 Hardy Street. Our shop is full of electronic items,
including security alarm systems, electronic components,
solar and power,
electronics toys,
sound systems, cables and much, much more. JCar.
120 Hardy Street, Nelson.
World War I was a defining period in our history, impacting greatly on the lives of people from the Nelson province. Memories of the First World War is an exhibition which will be displayed in a number of regional venues and is currently on at the Nelson Provincial Museum.
Sit and Be Fit is on at the Victory Community Centre Tuesdays and Thursdays at 10 a.m. at the Victory Community Church, 238 Upper Vanguard Street. School terms only. Fun while you get fitter, work at your level.
On behalf of the team here at Mainland Television News, thank you for joining us, and we'll bring you the latest news and events from around the region again tomorrow.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.
Why would you want to pay as much as $1,000 for a single bed mattress when you can buy a high quality locally made mattress like this for as little as $220? And a queen size mattress could cost you in excess of $3,000, but at Nelson Beds you could have a mattress like this as low as $425. So why would you go out and spend a fortune on your child's bedroom when you can come to Nelson Beds and buy a complete single mattress and base set, a 7-drawer Scotch chest, a headboard and a 3-drawer bedside cabinet for as little as $979? So call and discuss our custom manufacturing options and local after sales service at Nelson Beds, Nelson's only bedding manufacturer.
Are you looking for a scooter, walker, wheelchair, baby seats or pushchairs? Then come in and see the Nelson Region Specialist at Mobility for You, 269 Queen Street, Richmond, opposite the library. We have a huge selection of scooters, walkers, wheelchairs and accessories, along with a free booklet guide. We also provide a breakdown service if you ever get a puncture or a flat battery. We have fully equipped service vans to rescue you. Hi, I'm Robin Jordan and I invite you to call in and see the friendly team at Mobility for You, 269 Queen Street, Richmond, opposite the library.
Nelson Tire Center. Great prices, great service. Buy your own Bryford trailer. All types, all sizes. See Colin Douglas for your tires and batteries.